Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for another session of Archeo Gaming Live featuring Sassa's gamers Kate Minetti and Alexander Vanderwalle. Really quick, let's go over what is SASA. SASA stands for Save Ancient Studies Alliance. It's our mission to reverse the current downward trend in the study of the ancient world by engaging the public and bringing together students and scholars to share their passion for the study of the ancient world in order to inspire a vast new generation of students. We do this by hosting a lot of different kinds of live events, doing research on the downward trend in ancient studies. We have an open access database where you can search resources in ancient studies and much more. Where can you find SASA? Search for Save Ancient Studies Alliance. And on any of these platforms, please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, LinkedIn, and now TikTok. SASA's live events protocol. Please be kind and respectful. Listen and ask thoughtful questions throughout the event. Please be patient with technology and those administering it. SASA live events are streamed on Twitch, and recordings will be posted on SASA's YouTube channel shortly after the event. There are spoilers during our Archeo gaming events, but of course, as always, have fun. Don't forget to subscribe to SASA on Twitch. If you enjoy our live events, such as Archeo gaming, book clubs, and reading groups, please consider becoming a supporter with a recurring donation. You can do this for as little as $3 a month, and you can help save ancient studies. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, sound should be fixed. That was probably because I always have to have the sound off when we were talking earlier, and then usually that's the thing I do when we switch frames, but I had to spend like 3 minutes just making the frames appear at all. So
Sorry about that. So I'm gonna go through the whole thing again. We're gonna do
That was just a dress
musical.
rehearsal.
Yeah, there was a dress rehearsal. So yes, here we are. Sorry about that. So as we were saying, and
Hold on,
like,
can I get an understudy? I'll just duck out.
yeah, exactly. Where's my understudy? I mean, So yeah, so now the more attractive Kate will come on screen and talk and redo what I rehearsed. So we are here with the host of the History of Egypt podcast, Dominic Perry, who comes to us from the future, and he is not just an enthusiast of Egypt, but he's also a Total War player. So we don't have to explain to him how the game works. We don't have to explain anything to him. Actually, perhaps maybe the other way around. And he's done a series about these characters, which I would encourage people to go listen to. Actually, let me find the link to the podcast and send it in the chat. Yeah. Okay. If you have it, just throw it in the chat.
Sure.
If you,
I haven't put it up on my website because I am mentally deficient, but I will get the Spotify link together and people can
I
find
thank
them
you. That would
really
work.
should update
So.
the website.
So we are here trying to survive, as one does in the third intermediate period. So, question time. Do you think hippos are the devil? Apart from that, which is always a yes, and if that's not a yes, which one of these characters did you have the most fun researching?
Ooh, tricky. So, for those not familiar, my podcast is currently in the reign of Seti I and about to start Ramesses II, so very beginning of the 19th dynasty. And when Creative Assembly announced Total War Pharaoh, it was really funny timing because I was already just starting to do my research on the end of the 19th dynasty and the early 20th. And these historical characters like Amen-Messi and Tausert, they don't get enough love or attention from the sort of wider media landscape around ancient Egypt. Like documentaries and things tend to go up to Ramesses II and maybe Merneptah, but then they basically stop covering Egypt until Alexander the Great and the Ptolemies show up, which is a shame. Because, diving into these historical characters for the podcast research and then sort of exploring them from another angle for the video game as it was developing was really fun. I have to say, I think if I had to choose one of these characters that surprised me the most in terms of how much material there was or how much interesting material there was, it was probably Amen-Messi. I knew a little bit about him before I started my research. I knew he was kind of a sort of possible usurper figure. But once I started diving into the sort of the historical records that he had actually left and what we could tell about him, he came across much more interesting and as a much more influential figure than I realized. Even just down to the possibility that King Siptah, who doesn't show up in the game, might potentially be the son of Amen-Messi. Stuff like that is actually a really interesting sort of grey area in the late 19th dynasty. So I'd say that Amen-Messi was the one who I found the most surprising. Out of all of these characters, probably the one that I like most historically is Tausret, but that's partly because I'm a sucker for anybody unusual. And Tausret, kind of like Hatshepsut, is one of these unusual women who manages to become a legitimate pharaoh in her own right. Not just a queen regent, not just a background player who's pulling the strings, but somebody actually sitting on the throne. I'm always interested in those kind of unusual figures. So I like Tausret, but Amen-Messi was probably the one who surprised me the most.
Ready for battle.
I think has the most potential to be
Prove your strength in battle.
really developed with greater research, especially archaeological.
If only.
My army
Hopefully.
will be unstoppable.
Hopefully, one can hope.
From what I seem to understand, Armin Messi quite likely comes, or at least his power base develops from the south, like they portray him in the game. So I'm kind of hoping that the more archaeological work we get in northern Sudan and southern Egypt, the more we might learn about him and his expansion. I'm not optimistic, but fingers crossed.
Yes, I will.
We can hope. Go.
Yes, I will say, not to completely counter your optimism, I am currently doing I'm in a seminar on Dra el Naga, and I'm working on the material of the Kushite officials buried there, and it's such a morass trying to understand what's going on there half the time. Like, even if who was alive when is oftentimes a very open question.
Absolutely.
So, yes, I imagine you ran into plenty of that, dealing with Amun/Mesui.
Yeah, I run into it constantly with the southern officials. I've got like 100 Word documents of potential podcast episodes that I started to try and work on, and then it just got too complicated. And almost all of them are about the Nubian or southern Egyptian viceroys and officials. It's such a tangle that trying to unpack it is really quite difficult. I'll get around to it one day, but yeah, I feel your pain, especially with Dra Abu Naga. That's a complicated area.
Yes, a very, very cool site. A lot of interesting stuff, but also never simple.
So who are we fighting now?
This, I was gonna say, I'm doing this one specifically because, speaking of Amun Mas, here we have a good opportunity for a confrontation between two armies of Nubian soldiers.
Great.
I have really fallen in love with the Nubian troops in this game in my own Amun Mas campaign that I played on my own prior to this. They're just powerful. They're the specific setup that they have. Have you gotten to play Total War Pharaoh yet?
Yeah. I haven't played it nearly as much as I would like to because
understand.
I'm in my mid-30s now and I get like 3 hours a week to play games. And at the moment I'm still working through a cooperative campaign of Baldur's Gate 3 with a friend.
Yes.
But once I finish that in about 2 years, I will sit down and really sink my teeth into Total War Pharaoh. I've played it the most out of all the recent Total War Pharaohs since Rome 2. I didn't really get into Warhammer or Thrones of Britannia or Three Kingdoms, not because I didn't like them, but just because I was reaching that age where I just didn't have the time to sink into these kind of games like I used to. So I've played about half of a Ramesses III campaign and about a third of an Armin Messi campaign. I haven't actually got up to the Sea Peoples yet, but I'll get there. Unfortunately, they released the game right just after I left for my wedding and honeymoon, so I kind of, just as the hype was at its highest, I was not able to play it, which was a shame.
Yeah.
Hey, that's a good wedding gift, though.
Yeah, I tried to play it on my Steam Deck, but it wasn't working, so that was a shame. But I think Total War Pharaoh, so far from what I've played, I think it's one of the better all-around Total War experiences, in the sense that it feels very complete in what it is. And what it is not revolutionary in terms of the mechanics of the Total War series, but I think everything it does well, and for my money, that's a worthwhile product.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It's a shame you haven't gotten to play Three Kingdoms. I've said this before. Like, I love Pharaoh, and I think Three Kingdoms is the only one I would classify as better. Just on,
Right.
But I also admit that's the other big historical period I'm biased towards. Like, I got sucked into all the Egyptian stuff, but I wonder if there isn't like a version of me that took a different elective sophomore year of undergrad and studies the Han Dynasty.
Sure.
So I'm always biased on these things. But anyway, just to kind of show off Kushite soldiers, as hopefully you'll get to see in this battle, Kushite infantry isn't very powerful. They just never die. Like, they just kind of keep fighting for far longer than anybody else would, which is good because the point of the infantry isn't actually to win the battle. The point is that Kushite archers are probably the most powerful units in the game, And you just need to keep them out of the way of anybody who could do anything other than get shot at.
Onwards! Archers, shoot!
Yeah,
Well.
that tracks historically, at least, with at least the northern part of Nubia being called like land of the bow,
Yes.
and the Egyptian pharaohs constantly referencing their sort of southern or Nubian archers. Out of curiosity, how does this is a real Total War question, but how does their ammunition stack up? Because I find for some of the units they run out of ammunition after like 2 minutes.
Yeah, it's pretty good. They have this one actually is great. It tells you the total number of arrows the unit has altogether. So you can see it is like 14. The whole unit has about 1,500 arrows altogether to use.
Okay.
We will triumph!
Which is pretty good. They will hold up for most of the battle. Usually by that point you have already won or determined that you can't once you've run out of ammunition. So.
Sure. And your
What kind
generals
of
on foot?
units? What kind of units are they fielding?
Yeah, Amenmes is using. He has a unique batch of Kushite units. Like these Kushite royal guards are unique to him. They're pretty good. If you I don't know, you can see the stats, but solid melee attack and defense and a lot of damage. They're one of Amenmes' better units. So given enough time,
They're a little pale.
Oh, well, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the Kushite guard. But you can see that like, the
Maybe
native Kushite
Egypt
units are
time.
better.
Yeah.
Aim for their heart!
Choices. Sorry. So he's got. Yeah. So I can see that he has like several of the royal ones. Well, I see Bowman.
Yes, he has, or rather had, Bowman. Targeted him down pretty quickly.
Oh well.
Yeah.
Aim for their hearts!
Oh, he's got the spears. Okay. So not the usual trash that we fight. That's good. That's good to
No,
know.
The major factions do sometimes actually put out good units.
Sometimes, if they want.
One of the problems with this game's AI is, like many Total War AIs, they keep using really bad units for the whole game. Like, they'll throw in some decent ones, but then they'll just have like a bunch of
For glory!
really, like, completely useless units. If you were playing a lot of Shogun 2, you may remember the AI's love of Yari Ashigaru through the entire game, well beyond what it actually needs.
Yari Ashigaru can hold the line any day, my friend.
Fighters of Nubia!
Yari Ashigaru, Stan, right here. Those guys will hold.
I mean, I remember the rebels in Rome Total War with their pitchforks and like and literally wands. I was like and staffs. I was like, I wonder. A lot of trash units.
Have you ever tried
But
to
I
play-
never. Go.
Have you ever tried to play the Rebel campaign in Rome Total War?
No, I usually squash rebellions with an iron fist.
See, that's what the developers want you to do, but because the game is from 2004 and therefore on a slightly shaky programming footing, you can just very easily modify the game to play as the Rebels faction. It's almost impossible because you can't recruit any units. All you get are like the random peasants, but
Oh my god! No, I remember the that you could unlock every faction to be playable.
Yes.
I used to play a lot of good campaigns with the Thracians because they had the best generals.
None can withstand
So
us!
when I was young, those were the days. I remember all of 8 bits of those units.
Proud son of Egypt.
What I remember when I played it eons ago was I would always fight the Gauls and I would send the dogs after them, and
Yes.
they would
Yes,
die
and
very dramatically from dogs.
Oh my god! And you also had the flaming pigs.
And
The
the
flaming
dogs.
pigs were a thing in that one.
I was
It was-
cowards in my ranks.
There were choices there. We don't have animals here. Like, where are our lions? Where are our pet lions?
Yeah, it's a real shame.
Yeah.
I mean, there are hippos. Look at the size of those hippos, but we don't have the lions. That's sad.
At least some war dogs would be nice.
Yeah. Oh, you do get
Yeah.
some very nice,
Yeah.
very nice cattle. Like, big
Oh.
humps.
They are good cattle.
Oh, that's clearly an Apis bull. That's the next Apis
You,
bull. We found him.
Can you
We
send
need
them
to
into
take him. We need to
can you
take him
send
to
them into
Memphis.
battle? Send the cattle into battle.
Yeah.
That would be
fear
great.
nothing.
I mean, listen, cows will fuck you up. Big herbivores will fuck you up. If, if angry or feeling threatened. So careful what you wish for.
I will guide Egypt in any way
Be
possible.
careful there. Okay.
I'm doing something with Talzret entirely for flavor reasons. I'd almost forgotten about this, but she has a unit just called Queen's Guard, and I feel it's very unfortunate
I need
that
the
we've not
right
recruited
people.
any of it into her personal army.
Who are we?
Strategy
Who are
needs
we even?
soldiers.
What are those?
Yeah.
Are those swords?
Yes, they're.
Oh yeah, they're
Each
swords.
recruit
Yes,
will be a
they're
vital part of my
light
plan.
swords, experts in flanking, with just really good
Every
statistics
idea needs
overall.
soldiers
Dang.
to carry it
Oh, I
out.
like them. Would at this
Strategy
point,
cannot
like
win
the
wars alone.
the personal guard of Pharaoh be made of like
My name will
elite
ring through the
units that came from a specific region, or like that that had a specific training? Did they even have like a personal bodyguard? This is me having like jumped ship and not being an Egyptologist
ages.
anymore.
The taking.
So
Uh,
I can give you part of the
My
answer for
name
that.
will
We
be
don't. There's
legend.
no, to my knowledge, there's no
For
evidence
glory,
for where they come
I
from
will not be
exactly.
shackled.
Ramesses III at Medinet Habu has a lot of
On we go.
really large and
I fight
detailed
for
scenes
Egypt.
of the Egyptian army overall, and he
My
does have
name
some
will
troops,
be legend.
at least from the context in which they're
calls.
located, would seem to be his like
Never
personal
surrender.
bodyguard. There is. I'm looking at one of the
Hold your tongue,
line drawings right now.
or
There is
lose it. Engage the enemy.
subtle stereotypical 19th or 20th dynasty Egyptians. They've got the long hair over the shoulder. They've got the sort of slightly bumpy nose, and the standard lightish, reddish skin. But then there are a couple of guys in there who seem to be Southerners. They've got the shorter, sort of woolly hair and the darker skin, and they would appear to be, what we would call ethnic Nubians. The challenge always with this art is, how much is it reflected in the reality, and how much has the artist just put different ethnicities to add variety to the scene.
Always ready.
At least I'll give them the benefit of the doubt and assume that because of the nature of the Egyptian empire, especially in the south, and for how long it had existed,
Certainly.
Pharaoh's bodyguard, or at least the detachments that followed him directly into battle, probably were a relatively diverse group, at least in terms of the amount of melanin in their skin.
Fair.
For glory.
But I think it would also be fair to assume that every one of them would be fluent in Egyptian. They would be what the Egyptians would consider culturally Egyptian, which is that they follow Pharaoh's rules, they obey Ma'at, and they speak Egyptian, which is the most important criteria. So, as far as Ramesses is concerned, they're all Egyptian. As far as, modern ethnography or anthropology is concerned, I think you could make a case that they probably would have some diversity. I mean, we do know from the time of Ramesses II onwards
Into position.
that the Sheridan were present in the army. Whether they were part of the Pharaoh's personal bodyguard, I can't quite say. And I don't know if there's enough evidence to really get that specific. Probably the closest references we get to something like a royal bodyguard, there's two of them. One of them comes from the reign of Thutmose the First, I think it is, or Thutmose the Third, where they reference the Neferu, which is kind of hard to translate. It's either the youths, or the braves, or the beauties. Either way, they seem to be like a favoured little regiment or cadre of soldiers. I just call them like the elites, the braves. Maybe they're the best ones, or maybe they're just the youthful and energetic. One of the Thutmose pharaohs references them as like he sends the Neferu out as a specific detachment to quell a rebellion. So that at least in context, that sounds like that's a bodyguard or a troop that is always available, which in context might fit a bodyguard. I mean, you have to assume that, at least from the New Kingdom, the pharaonic state is so militarized, and it's becoming more and more so. There's probably always a detachment of soldiers somewhere in the vicinity of the king, for his protection and also to go forth and exact his will as he needs. Whether we would call that a bodyguard, you know, is semantics, I guess. The second one, and I think it's the second reference, and I think it's probably a lot more conclusive, comes from Horemheb. His great decree set up at Karnak and Memphis and other places. The great decree overall deals with a whole list of rules that Horemheb is enacting or proclaiming, and they deal with various abuses by government officials, actions of property. But then right near the end of the decree, or at least the end of the surviving portion, he suddenly switches to this sort of, it's either a reorganization or it's like a formalization of the kind of social interactions between the king and his army commanders, possibly his bodyguards. I guess by analogy you might call them like the Praetorians, you know, some of them are actual soldiers, but some of them are probably like divisional commanders who are just prominent in the hierarchy, just as a loose analogy. And in this decree he announces, we're going to start having a regular, basically party banquet for this particular group. And we'll all gather at the palace, and the king will give out rewards to these people.
Right.
You know, in context, it sounds very much like the king is really gathering whoever this group is, he's really gathering them in close to him and binding them to his personal loyalty or their own enrichment and for his security. Again, that would probably be the closest I think you could say that there is a special part of them, a special group of soldiers or military commanders who we might consider to be the Pharaoh's bodyguard or his entourage. It's all very murky as to, you know, we have these modern terms based on how Western militaries have developed over the past 250 years. With the Egyptians, the army is so much more embedded in the society and the state. You know, a person is a farmer one day and a soldier the next. That there's no line. It's very blurry as to what these people are doing on a day-to-day basis. That's as short as I can make that answer.
No, that's a good answer. Like that's me not knowing really anything about like the military of ancient Egypt, apart from, you know, the one print of Ramesses II coming back from Kadesh that I have on my wall, with the lion, and like reading around, like watching movies and reading around about you know, the Sheridan bodyguards and seeing the mustachioed people, and other things. But I never, you know, it's really out of my field as of now. I'm like on the other side of the mat, so not doing that. But the comparison with the Praetorian Guard is interesting, because that is one of the things that Roman emperors would do, especially like Septimius Severus, when he realizes the Praetorian Guard is not on his side. He actually, you know, exiles all of them and then puts his own men as his own Praetorian Guard. So it would make sense that like there would be a sort of trying to foster personal loyalty to the king by, you know, having banquets together and you know, giving goods. I mean, that's what every pharaoh's doing, right? I mean, Briana's boy Akhenaten is giving gold and necklaces left and right. So
yeah,
you know,
well, he's not
like,
giving gold.
Things like Horemheb and Eti, they continue those
He's
practices.
refusing.
he's scamming people.
Yeah.
I have a hard time feeling bad for Ashur-uballit the First. I think he did well enough for himself without that gold.
Chariots forward!
Listen.
Also, I should say, they did, you may not be aware of this if you haven't reached this point in the game, but one of the late game, like, Pharaoh's guard units that you get is called Braves of the King. And almost certainly is trying to be a reference to those Neferu.
The Neferu. Yeah. Do we think that like using a word like Neferu is also like a cause for like internal jokes with all the meanings that Neferu has? Like, we are the Braves, but we're also the fancy ones. Like, do we think that Egyptian men were vain?
Almost certainly. I mean, any society in the world, you have men who are unbelievably vain. I think, yeah, because I mean, to bring it to sort of more of a textual historical basis, the Egyptian literati, the scribes, they were very fond of puns. They were very fond. They really enjoyed playing with their language, and lots of both religious and secular and funerary texts. They have plenty of phrases or sentences where it could mean two or three different things based on how you're reading the word, and some of those meanings are funny. And I think especially with someone like the Neferu, you think of like how, at least from the context, they seem to have high status or prestige and association with the king. I could imagine that some of them were extremely arrogant and preening, strutting around, kind of like
Back to civilization.
Prince Charming from Shrek 2.
Yes.
That's how I could sort of imagine someone like some of these people. It's like, I'm sure they're very skilled warriors, like no doubt, and there's a reason they're in this cadre. But at the same time, I'm sure there's plenty of them who are, rocking down to the local gathering place and chatting up anyone they find attractive and being like, hey.
Oh yeah.
I'm one of the
Definitely.
Neferu,
Yeah, so just casually, mentioning, name dropping the Pharaoh.
My name will be legend.
I was talking to my buddy Horemheb the other day. Oh, you don't know him? He's the king.
No, you wouldn't know it. You wouldn't know him. I mean, it's probably true. Like, would the average person know what the Pharaoh looked like? Probably not.
Yeah, definitely not. So I was talking to Horemheb, and hey, do you come here often? Maybe I can spear you one day.
Ever dutiful.
For the viewers who are not
we keep this
familiar
PG,
with
right?
For the viewers not familiar with Egyptian language, Nefer is a root word with a base meaning of something. I would personally, my feeling is that the original meaning of the word is perfect. But it comes to mean good, beautiful. It also means complete, from which it develops. Like you can negate words using Nefer. That's a thing you can do in Egyptian. It takes on connotations of youthfulness. It's one of those words where eventually it absorbs almost every conceivable positive meaning. Like if
I am going to assume there are also dirty meanings there, but that's because this is the Mediterranean and people in the Mediterranean do that.
Sure. I mean, there's that Tumblr meme that goes around, which comes from the contendings of Horus and Seth, where Seth tells Horus, "How beautiful are your buttocks?" and it's Nefer Pekti. So yeah, there's definitely dirtier meanings to it.
I mean,
To go back to the thing, Nefer is one of the interesting words that kind of highlights how culturally contextual most of those concepts are. It's beauty, but it's perfection, but it's also youthfulness. Which meaning came first, and which ones are youthful people automatically beautiful? Are youthful people automatically perfect, like innocent? Or are beautiful people, are they beautiful because they seem youthful? Is beauty by itself perfection? You can sort of spin your head trying to untangle which meaning is the fundamental there. I personally think that maybe it might originate from youthfulness, at least from, sort of the prehistoric age where people are not going to be living as long, and where youthfulness is kind of the time of your greatest energy and vitality.
fertility.
I can't say that's a definitive reading, but that's what I suspect, is that maybe youthfulness is like the original impetus for that, and then it sort of spins out there. But, yeah.
Yeah. Aren't there like the pretty ones on the barge? Who's it? Neferu? That has like a barge of pretty girls.
But his name said Neferu.
Yeah.
He makes beautiful things, or he makes perfect things, and he happens to have a boat full of beauties, perfect girls.
Yeah, full of trinkets, right? Full of pretty toys.
Yeah.
That was a translation I read. It was in Italian, and I was like, yes, but also yikes. But I understand. But yikes.
Yeah.
It's
One of them.
It's one of those things.
One of them was a diva, and she lost her.
I don't
earring.
like what you mean, but I know what you mean. That these beautiful women are kind of the king's toys as well.
yeah. And the one that loses, yes, Briana was saying the one who loses the thing, and then the whole lake has to be. I mean,
Folded,
yeah,
Dredged.
essentially.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like, I'll buy you a new one, and she's like, no, I want mine.
The king, no, I want that one. I mean, that's a flex. Like, get you a man who drags a whole lake to find your earring.
Barbarian scum.
I'm not gonna say these are goals.
More power to her, you know. If she's in
Oh, yeah.
that social context and
They
situation,
never stood a chance.
why not take advantage of the advantages you've been
Egypt's empire
able to
grows.
obtain?
Right, might as well. Might as well. In the meantime, in this house,
So what if you have
hair
to row
dyes.
his boat for him?
Also that. Also that.
Are we at war on two fronts
My
here?
name will
Yes.
be
Oh, we are at war on 3
In
fronts.
classic Egyptian
Okay.
fashion, it is of course necessary for
The
us to
gods
fight
will
on
decide
all of
my
our
fate.
borders at the same time.
Okay.
Because
I
you also
will
have
guide
the
Egypt in
various
any
sea
way
peoples running
possible.
around, but
They're coming in. Oh, they're coming in hot.
There's a new wave has shown up. The Czech air, whom we need to deal with,
trained for war.
and then also one of my least favorite features: the random armies of rebels that just show up
I
to mess
shall
up
not
any
stray.
monument that you might make.
Queen.
So we're going to have to
Randomly
deal with them,
spawning
too.
rebels and not.
Yeah, well, we're gonna have
Yeah,
to,
it's not connected
to
to
trample
happiness or
everyone.
anything. People just you make a monument, people try and rip it up.
Okay, well that I guess is kind of historically accurate.
Yeah, I think it's more just to make sure you have to
Egypt will
like
remember
garrison and
this
protect
victory.
them.
Work will
It's also good that you can like recruit them to serve Egypt after you destroy their armies. Like, oh, now that you're gonna fight for us now. It's good. Come here. Good
I don't know if
replenishment.
anyone in the chat audience played the original Pharaoh game, but that town at the far
Briana.
north, Parawadji, that's like
Briana
the third mission
is-
in the original campaign.
Ma'am.
Wait, what was that?
I was just saying, I just noticed that Parawadji was on the map, and I remember that was like the third or fourth mission in the original campaign.
Oh, I don't remember.
Yeah.
Original campaign of
it's like one
Pharaoh.
the original campaign of Pharaoh. It's like one of the first maps you
Yeah.
get where it's actually green, and you
I
have
am
to
here for one
Yeah.
thing only.
start trading or something. But yeah,
I fight for
I've,
Egypt.
that's always been one of the cities that first
Long
comes to mind when I
journey
think
ahead.
of ancient Egyptian cities, is Parawadji, simply from Pharaoh, back when I was like 10
Ready
years old.
for battle.
Well, I actually feel the same way about Nekhen, or as some people frustratingly call it, Hierakonpolis, because of
I speak.
what
and the
was the
gods
game?
listen.
Egypt Pre-Dynastic, I think is just the name of the game, but it's
That
it-
fucking game. I hate it. I hate it so much. It's the most frustrating game I ever played. I hate it with a passion.
They will bleed.
Do tell. Why? What happened?
I
I'm curious.
fear nothing.
That is
Okay.
hard. The
It's
game is
it's-
so hard. I
That
got
game is-
a score of
is-
2.
that game is so difficult. It's so difficult because even if you play it perfectly, the game is gonna destroy you. There are time limits for things that you must do. There are a lot of resources to collect to develop technologies that you are going to need to win, and if you don't develop the last 3, you are never going to win. But you need a lot. It's just so frustrating. Like the starting position influences so much because it's random, right? So you can be on one side of the Nile, you can be on the other side of the Nile, you can have neighbors that are stronger or less or like weaker. It's just so difficult. It's an incredibly frustrating game. Like it's one of those games you're like, I
if
want
you-
to beat it, but I'm going to lose my mental sanity.
Fair enough.
You know, and if you're not the one who builds the temple, to build the temple first, like you can just forget about the rest of the game. Like you're done. There's no way to recover. Just start again.
Yeah,
And I hate that game and I love that game.
if you don't spawn in the right spot, you gotta start again and hope that you spawn in the right spot. Sometimes there are wild hippos that just kill people randomly. Sometimes you get a famine because why not? Sometimes there's lions just popping out. You're like, just go away. What are you doing here? I hate you. It's such a difficult. You should play it.
I would. I want to know
I do-
if anyone has actually done well at this because, huh?
I've got Pre-Dynastic and the sequel, Old Kingdom.
Okay,
but I
Old
actually
Kingdom is
haven't played
better.
them.
Old Kingdom is better. Old
It's
Kingdom
easier.
also has a cheat engine table, so you can play with the
Right.
cheats. It's still difficult,
A legacy.
but you can
didn't-
win.
Legacy is
They didn't make any
everything.
more of them, did they? They didn't carry on.
My
with, like,
brave
No,
original
there
games?
was
Claris Victoria. I
people
know-
asked.
Glorious
Yeah, I don't know
combat
what happened to them,
Oh.
like the developers.
for Egypt's glory.
That's a shame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it was an interesting concept.
It was. I
Definitely
like.
had potential.
I will say I have beaten both games. I have not beaten both. I've beaten both games on like medium
Triumph!
difficulty, which is hard.
There is no sweeter
I've
praise.
read the guide for how to beat the game on the highest
glory.
difficulty and get the
Yeah, I know.
max amount of points. And in addition to really good RNG,
one
you have to
crosses
play
my
turn
line.
by turn perfectly.
Yeah.
It is functionally
Engage the
impossible to
enemy.
do without like sitting down and spending weeks working it out. But also, you know, the part of me that believes in like Luda narratives and all that is like, oh, okay, well that's because of like the precarity
Wise Pharaoh.
of a city in
Time to
this
move.
very early period. And, like, yeah, there is something to that. But also, it's a punishing game. It's very fun.
It
it's
is.
very educational, and
It is.
you have to be willing to lose a bunch.
Yeah. Yeah. And not get frustrated and throw things. I did beat Old Kingdom with the maximum score once, and Briana was there for that because I sent her the screenshot immediately when that happened. And after that, I was like, "That's it. I'm done with this game. I'm not playing it anymore.
Fair enough.
I'm done with it." But the next will have to be pretty dynastic. But I think there was beef between the developers and the community. If you look on the Steam page, someone asked, "Oh, is there going to be Middle Kingdom?" And the devs basically said, "Oh, people were complaining a lot, and the system would not really work for the Middle Kingdom, so maybe, but probably not." And it's just, and people are like, "Oh, so instead of making the game better, you're just giving up because people complain. Like, why do you have beef with people?" It was a shit show.
Okay.
As it
That's a shame.
happens.
'Cause at the very least, the game has really beautiful art.
Yes.
I wish
Oh, yeah.
we'd seen more of that for some of the later stuff.
Oh yeah.
Like
Uh,
whenever I think of like how you might animate ancient Egyptian art, that game is one of the ones that comes to mind as like how it did it really well and that it took the basic concept of ancient Egyptian figures and animated them really beautifully.
Yes. It's also it has, I hate to say this, but it has a very smart tech tree. Which I hate to say it because I don't want to compliment those games, but they're but they're good. And also yes, we are pushing the maximum historical extent of Egypt's hegemony and even further. Although what Egypt, because Ptolemaic Egypt, we need to take Cyprus
The enemy.
if we want to go for Ptolemaic Egypt. But
Yes.
non-Ptolemaic
There's that
Egypt,
Fight
then
for
yes.
Egypt.
You go even
There's that weird
further.
moment where Ptolemaic Egypt has
them
part of
surrounded.
Thrace or something, doesn't it?
All will
Yeah.
remember me.
I mean,
Is
for
that-
for a
that'd be
hot
a
second, and then they don't anymore, and then
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think there's a case to be made for like certain points where Fatimid or Mamluk Egypt controls even further territories, like outside of what's even representable in the game. But that's something I'm a little less
My
familiar
right
with.
to rule is indisputable.
I mean, it's Egypt, but not ancient. We are already
You
like
need to go to
in
Medieval 2 or Europa Universalis for that.
Yes. Which,
medieval 2 Bellum Crucis, which is the expansion in which there's a lot more Crusaders kingdoms and their enemies around there, which is great. Or the best expansion for Medieval 2, which is Machiavello, which puts everything in like the 1500s, and it's fantastic. It's incredible.
Egypt
I
will
played-
always use more slaves.
It's a mod. Those are the Total War mods I played the most in my life. Like I think I have more hours on those than on Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which is saying a lot. Because I got a respectable 500 hours in Valhalla, but I think between Machiavello and Bellum I have like several zeros after a first number.
so you mentioned Europa Universalis 4. That is a dangerous thing to do. I'm at about 2,500 I've been playing Europa Universalis since I was 11.
Dang.
Because I
Go for it.
I was exposed to it as
I fear nothing.
as a 5th grader, which is probably too young to discover that kind of thing, and probably influenced the direction my life took a little bit.
Sure. It happens to all of us. For me, it was Age of Empires 1 and 2. That kind of.
Oh yeah.
And then
Yeah,
Civilization
that.
3. Those really solidified my, I guess, entertainment directions.
Mm-hmm.
I've never even tried to get into Europa Universalis just because I know that I don't have the time to learn it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it is a
Yeah.
high learning curve. It's the kind of thing that either like you figure it out in middle school when you have 8 hours a day to devote to it, or you never figure it out.
Yeah.
I'm also a big fan of Dwarf Fortress. Dwarf Fortress is a famously difficult game.
Eager
I
to fight.
got into it when I was 12. If I tried to learn it now, I never would. It's impossible.
One through Egypt.
Yeah,
But
fair enough.
now I've modded Middle Egyptian into the game, so I can count it as
Fear
productive.
Wait,
Someone in the
you
chat
modded-
is also. Oh no! Go talk.
You
Talk
modded
about the
Dwarf
things.
Stood a chance.
Yes, there's an in-game language for like the generation of place names and like
They will bleed.
personal names and that kind of thing. And I wrote a mod that turns the entire
Stop
2,000
hiding,
word dictionary
cowards.
into Middle Egyptian. That's out there on
That's
Steam
cool.
if you want to go looking for it.
That's extremely nerdy, but very cool.
Yes, it took me like 25 hours probably over
I
the
saw
summer
Egypt.
of like going through a PDF version of one of the Middle Egyptian dictionaries. It was a good time.
That's cool. That's a fun summer project.
Join me, warriors.
Don't
My army.
don't let any of my
will be
professors know that.
unstoppable.
Depending on how my comps turn out in a month, we'll see.
So Tower Threat starts like in the middle of the map.
Yes, she
Right,
starts
so-
right here actually a little south. Yeah, she's in like Necken.
Right.
And the first thing we did was get
Oh.
Abju and Waset and Nukt, these very important major cities early on.
Okay. When you went north, was there a major power block? Like, had Ramses consolidated, or?
Ramses had done some, but usually like Ramses sometimes I find has a hard time getting off the ground. Like he'll just kind of get stuck in the Sinai and never really expand that much. So it was like Buto held some land and Ben Nefer held some land, and P. Ramses was independent still, and I think Rakotis was still independent in Rockhead.
I hate
Okay.
talking.
And then we had our dear husband running amok around
Yes.
there,
So that's why
being nice to us, but useless, really useless.
Right.
Alas.
Yeah, he seems to have expanded in some random directions.
Yeah, basically, because he'll join any of our wars and then just kind of take some land from them, and there's never any rhyme or reason to how he does it. Even the Libyans are getting in on attacking Amenmes, it looks like.
There's no Libyan invasion mechanic, is there?
Oh, there is. I haven't been really playing through those battles, but like Libyan troops just show up, and unlike the sea peoples who come in like defined waves at particular and predictable times, or at least semi-predictable, like the Libyans are on a different timer. They just kind of happen.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, but that is
It'd be cool to
definitely
see-
part of the game, and part of the frustration of playing in Egypt is dealing with them.
Yeah, it would be cool to see some expansion on those guys, because I've been doing some research on them lately, particularly for Seti the First, who sort of starts fighting against them. And the
You cannot give me orders.
ambiguity of
Engage
what's
the
actually
enemy!
happening with the Libyans is deeply fascinating, I have to say. Like,
Yeah.
although the pharaohs are painting them as invaders, there's a lot of good archaeological evidence to.
Triumph. There is
Contradict
no
that.
sweeter taste.
So it'd be cool to see. I mean, it would be cool to see like at least a mod that kind of expands out the Libyans a bit. But
The hope
Say
is
Levy.
that will be one of the expansions. That's my personal hope, at least. That you'll get to play as a Libyan leader.
Fate
Or else
beckons.
be like able to campaign in there if they don't let you play as them, but I don't see why they wouldn't. Certainly be a very interesting thing
Yep.
to do.
Yeah, Dominic, which
fight for Egypt.
which factions would you like to
You will
see
die.
in a DLC?
Well, it would be really cool to have
It
Assyria.
seems people have finally mastered
Yes,
stupidity.
yes.
And
We've been saying
And I
that.
think-
Now,
yeah, like that, at least with where the map ends,
I
they
reap
seem like
divine blessings.
a reasonable proposition to include. But Kassite Babylonia would be very cool, but I can see
I will
why
carve
maybe
out
they're a little bit
legacy.
away from the main center of the action
I
for the
fight for
developers to
Egypt.
not go that far. But at least with
That would
Assyria,
be-
they're so close to Karkemish and the Hittite that they would be a really cool.
Oh, Babylonia
So
would be
I think,
great.
Anubis yet.
I actually did also play
Slaves are always
out of a
useful.
Hittite campaign.
Warrior of
And
Egypt.
I enjoyed it a lot actually. I enjoyed the Hittites more than I enjoyed the Egyptians, possibly just because I didn't know as much about them, so they were more
For
new.
the empire.
So there was like more discovery. I think that's probably just the main
Duty
reason.
calls.
But about halfway through the campaign,
In
I could
another
see
world,
where
maybe.
I was becoming so powerful that I'd sort of consolidated most of Anatolia.
Break them down.
And I was thinking, if there was like an Assyrian faction here to really upset my expansion, that would add a lot of dynamism to the campaign map.
Follow my
'Cause
direction.
One can hope. And we're also getting a new campaign.
Yeah, I have to say, like as somebody who's been playing Total War games
I
since
make
the
my
original
own
Rome,
adventures.
and actually a little bit Shogun, the first one before that. One of the general trends that I haven't enjoyed over the past 10 years of Total War is how the campaign map has slowly become more and more simplified. It really started with
Never
Rome
surrender.
2 and like the Warhammer games. The campaign map
All
became
will remember
much more
me.
abstract, and the focus really shifted to the battles, which is
Let's
fine.
go.
But as a person who spends most of my time on the campaign map, I didn't love that
Okay.
direction. But Total War Pharaoh, I think, actually has a really solid campaign map, like much closer to what I really loved from Medieval 2 and Shogun 2, in terms of
Weapons honed.
not necessarily how much is going on, because it's not just about how many buttons you have to click every turn, but more in the
for
sense
Egypt.
of
I will
narrative
prove
and like building your
myself.
own story of like how your empire's developing. I think Pharaoh does a really good job at going back towards that kind of campaign complexity. But as I was playing, I could still see where there were limitations purely because of the geographical scope of the map. And this isn't a criticism because I fully sympathize with
Strength is power.
with the developers. Sophia, they're
In
the
the
smaller
name of
side of
victory.
Creative Assembly's team, and I got the sense that this wasn't Creative
Onward
Assembly
for
or
Egypt.
Sega's top priority in terms of like, you know, their focus seems to be on like Warhammer and the big ones. Total War Pharaoh was clearly much smaller. But I would have loved to see Assyria or the western coast of Anatolia included. Even if purely from the fact of it offers a lot more challenge to once you hit that mid game and you're too powerful for all the little factions around you. It's always nice to have a major empire you can butt up against.
Yeah. My only issue with having like Babylon is that, as Briana knows, I cannot pronounce Babylonian names for shit. I cannot write them, I cannot pronounce them, I cannot spell them. So
Queen.
that's my beef with Babylon.
How
But
do
I
you
would like
spell-
that.
Kate, how do you
I
spell
am
Nebuchadnezzar?
enthroned.
I'm going to go through the screen and punch you and take the cat and bring it here and go away.
I know this one. It's Dinger Og Na Abu. I think. How do you do Utsur? What's the logogram for Utsur? I don't remember that one off the top of my head. Sorry, we did. I had a Nebuchadnezzar text as homework last week, and his name shows up like 8 times. Nebuchadnezzar the First, actually. He doesn't. Speaking of rulers of the late Bronze Age, that's probably actually not him, but
Warrior of Egypt.
maybe his dynasty would be who you would play as. I don't know what they would choose if in the hypothetical Babylonian expansion. But yes, it would be very interesting.
We
It
should
would
talk
also
elsewhere.
guarantee that I would come back on and stream if for no other reason than one of my professors is one of the leading experts on the Middle Assyrian period. So if there were an Assyrian campaign, I would be legally required to bring Josh Jeffers on to discuss kingship in that period and all that.
Oh,
Someone in
look at
the
that shield.
Twitch
What is
chat.
going on?
By himself.
Yo, he's dressed as a peacock.
Yes.
He is a peacock. Well, his symbol is a peacock. Also, the chat is telling us that, who knows, they might stitch together the historical-only version of the Total War Saga Troy map with Pharaoh's map to give us an expansion.
If I was going to speculate, I would say that was probably something they considered or at least planned, because Pharaoh feels like for Troy what Total War Warhammer 2 was for the Warhammer. Like, it feels like it's not. Pharaoh is kind of a sequel to Troy, but in more of a shifting the map rather than radically rejigging it.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't be surprised if at some point in the development process they were like, let's make the map in a way that if we want, we can, if it sells well, we can put the two together as like they did with Warhammer. You know, kind of
Yeah, it probably also runs on the same engine.
Yeah.
So
And I
that
guess
would be easy.
I
Which
don't know how well
Egypt.
Pharaoh sold, but I guess if it does well, they might consider like an expansion into the Mesopotamia region and then have like a mega.
Another opponent.
Oh, there's
mega
like
map. That'd be cool.
three planned DLCs with new factions and then a campaign.
Warrior
Yes.
of Egypt.
So
Yeah, unfortunately, I think that the answer to how Pharaoh sold is badly. There was a lot of... Yeah, Now, admittedly, this is me just seeing what the community posts, but people really didn't like some of how the release was handled.
I will be
I think we need to fight this one out. I think we need to defeat Bay personally.
I think
yeah,
we
definitely.
need to kick his peacock ass.
I'm gonna
Question.
We need to say good day to him.
I'm gonna go for 1 minute.
Yeah.
I need to turn on the lights actually, because it is
Oh no, go for it. Question. Where do peacocks come from? Did they have peacocks at the time? Right? This is the moment where we start talking about animals. It always happens. Like, we always end up talking about animals here. Usually talking shit about hippos. Okay.
People says that
So-
India original.
Or like, would Bai have known a peacock?
It's not inconceivable that the trade networks through Mesopotamia around to India could have brought a peacock.
Right?
But I think there's probably enough there's enough color and diversity in northeast African birds to inspire some of his garments. I mean, you look at what art historians have reconstructed of like ancient Egyptian robes and dresses. They were very colorful. So I think Bai's depiction is at least believable in terms of what somebody of that rank and wealth.
Oh
would
yeah,
wear.
no, I'm fine with like garish colors. I'm just questioning the specific bird.
Actually, I wonder
Right.
if it's not a hoopoe. Or hoopie, or however you pronounce it. Unfortunately, I don't know.
Oh yeah.
Because that's
That's
very
actually
similar,
possible.
like green and blue. Very, very flamboyant and native to Egypt.
I need to look this up.
We stand a flamboyant Canaanite.
Yes.
Oh, I mean, yeah.
Look at him in
That-
his
I mean,
bodyguard. It's like all these
Oh,
guys.
have you?
Their leather
Oh.
armor and like, and then just. I wonder who's in charge here.
I mean,
I
you know.
have to say, I got the sense that Bai had been subtly queer coded from the way they.
You
designed
think? You think?
it. Well, I didn't want to jump to conclusions because Canaanite fashion is a whole different ballgame to modern Western. But the way I saw him in the marketing material, I was like, have they sort of kind
Yeah,
of
is he?
put
You
him on that end
know,
of the spectrum?
is he
Yeah.
Canaanite? Yeah. If Briana is dead. But yeah. Okay, so he gave me Jafar vibes, and Jafar is like not even queer coded, right? He's queer. There's
Right.
also a lot of stuff. Yes, thank you, Arcanist, from the chat, with how they coded the Canaanites because one is One is burning people and worships Moloch. And who's the other one? Is there another Canaanite?
Yeah, Bay is the other Canaanite.
Yeah,
Bay
that's
and
it.
Airship.
And yeah, so like it's either toxic masculinity or queer coded. So which feels like something the Egyptians would do. That's the thing. It's very
totally.
Egyptian.
Well, that's something I was kind of thinking about when we were talking about Armin Messi's Kushite bodyguard.
Strength
Is
is power.
his bodyguard in the game are lighter skinned, but my first thought on that was that's probably how he would have shown them if he had put them on a temple wall. He wouldn't necessarily have shown them as what we would historically consider Kushites. I don't know. I mean, usually the Total War games, especially Sophia and the more recent ones, they've been pretty good about their historical research. It's not like Rome 1 where
Yes.
you have people running around in violet pajamas and things, and the Egyptians are for some reason a Bronze Age kingdom. They've gotten much better in terms of their, I don't want to say in terms of their historical research, but in terms of bringing their historical authenticity to the forefront of the game, not just in the mechanics. So I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt in terms of how the Canaanites are depicted as somebody who the Egyptians would consider chaotic and negative. But I guess the challenge there is that there's very little evidence for ancient Egyptian attitudes towards what we would consider queer identity. I mean, they wouldn't have even recognized the concept. Then it would have probably been something more along the lines of behavior, kind of like the Romans. Are you the top or the bottom? Because one of those is respectable and one of those is not.
Exactly.
And I guess from that perspective, Yersu is clearly the top and Bai is clearly the bottom.
You heard it here first. Bai's a bottom. But
but he's clearly a power bottom. Like he's clearly, he's got his own thing.
Well,
going on.
he's the evil fashionista, right? Like the queer-coded manipulative backstabbing vizier, who's also a fashionista, who's also an Oriental.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically, fabulous.
Yeah, right. He's fabulous. I mean, he's a peacock.
Sort of character I love. Yeah, sort of character.
Right?
I love.
He's great. He's great. We love that for him.
Anybody care? Jean Ralphio? I mean, Parks and Recreation.
Yes.
I is Jean Ralphio. He's the worst.
He's the worst. He is. Don't be suspicious. That kind of thing. Oh, maybe we thought this wrong, Jacob, because so we've noticed that Tawazrat has a female consort in her among her ancillaries, and we were like, well, maybe it's a polycule with Seti and this wife and Bay, but maybe Bay does not swing both ways. Maybe Bay is just with Seti. Like maybe it's just a very, it's a very open polycule in which there's 2 and 2, but then 2 are married.
Not I?
Who knows? Who knows, right? That's okay. That's
name.
also we also need to talk about the Bai erasure. So okay, let's get into this. It's time.
Yes. Now you're getting into questions of Egyptian pronunciation reconstruction.
Yeah.
And that's its.
Let's speculate. Let's speculate horrendously.
Yes.
Let's speculate horrendously for a second.
I spent like a week trying to find out whether the Egyptian letter T was pronounced as it aspirated or unaspirated, and no one knows, even that, or whether it was voiced or unvoiced. So, let alone that we try and find out what even a single vowel might be.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, honestly, my first time I took a class in hieroglyphs with a professor whom I hope is burning in hell. He's alive, but I still hope he's, I hope he's getting what he deserves. But one of his first things that he said was like, "Oh, if ancient Egyptians could hear how we pronounce the ancient Egyptian language, they would probably like have us killed." And we were like, "Okay, that works." Like there are several questions there, which is fair. I mean, we don't know. We are guessing. But we have no idea. Briana really cannot. You cannot handle me today.
I will guide.
I woke up early and I chose violence. So.
It's the only way to live.
My earphones stopped working, so I had to. Now I'm just using my laptop speakers, and so I had to put my mic on mute so that we don't, hear an echo of you guys. And thank God for that because I'm like choking to death over here.
My
You,
name will be
Dominic.
legend.
Very diplomatic.
It happens. Speaking of serious things and kings and Hittites, Briana, how's the king?
Oh,
Legacy
he's
is
still at the
everything.
hospital. He got his surgery on his leg, and that said that he did very well. And so I should visit him probably tomorrow or Monday. But he's doing all right, and hopefully this will be his last surgery. I have a
Hopefully.
playpen for him and like an overnight crate for him to limit his mobility when he comes back. And hopefully it won't have to be for long because he'd love to run around and jump on things.
Nobody can stop
but,
him. I mean, would
yes,
you stop the
hopefully he will.
Hittite king?
No,
Would you stop the great king?
you can't do it.
This is your
Oh.
cat, right?
Yes. It is
My foster cat here in Cairo. I'm fostering a Turkish Angora, so I had to
He's
give him a Hittite name.
beautiful.
And I catified it. So he's Muatali.
It
um,
works on so many
and
levels.
he's lovely. Yes.
He's a beautiful boy. He has heterochromia. He's selectively deaf, meaning that he doesn't give a shit when you talk to him. And he cannot stop. He's also fabulous. He really looks fabulous. Like when she first got him, he was looking a little scrunkly, and now it's just glorious. He's fantastic.
Well, now
I am-
he's wrinkly again because they had to shave his face. he's wearing half
no,
pants.
he has-
Like when he's
He has one pant now. when you got him, he was pantless. The poor boy. He looked rough, but now he's
Yeah, he's been shaved again for the surgery, but at least this time it's only that part of the leg, and it's not like when I first got him where he had no hair on the tail and like chunks were missing and lots of matting that I had to cut out. But I think I still have to do some hair work with him when he comes back, other than waiting for the rest of it to grow. But yeah, I got him real pretty, and then they had to shave him again, and I was like, God damn it!
so
I
sad.
worked
Yeah,
so
the
hard.
Reshep wants his leg, but we shall not give him the leg. He will be safe. And then, who knows? Maybe he'll have a good royal palace for himself.
My name
We
will
hope.
be legend.
We can hope.
Yes, I
He's
hope
always
so.
like, I hope so. I mean, we'd love to have him back on stream. He's always he's a white presence. He's like a cloud of a cat.
Yes. He is. Hopefully, maybe I'll check with the vet, see if I can get him home the coming week.
Oh, yeah.
And then it will
Ever
be
beautiful.
available. Yeah, maybe a Christmas special.
A Christmas special with the cat.
Mute Tully.
Love that.
All will remember me.
Oh, he's such a good boy. But speaking of real Hittites, what is going on in Canaan
Egypt.
now?
Yeah, so we now have a better picture now that we've moved kind of further north. So we have control.
Ooh.
We've taken Megiddo, which is of course a very historically important city on the Jezreel Valley, and also north into Zor, which, if memory serves, that means we should be now into Lebanon in modern
Yep.
terms. And then we have, of course, so Zor, Tyre, Sidon, and Gubla Byblos, are
Byblos.
the big cities of what would later become Phoenicia, and then also the inland city of Hazor that we want to take.
How is Zaman Messi doing?
Proud son of
Messi is doing
That bitch.
Yeah, not particularly well. We got
That
so-
sh- ooh, ooh,
yes, and we
ooh.
got
How
the
many
ambition to kill
regions?
him. He's down
How
to
many
5.
regions?
I want to see what our cooldown is left because there's an annexation button with up to 3 regions. So if we can get him down to 3,
So we can annex him.
but
we've
it'll
been-
be 7
okay.
turns until it
My name
recharges.
will
But then
be
we can,
legend.
yeah.
Yeah, that'll be good. That'll be good. That is probably the way to go because he's. I mean, He's a good general, and we can find a place for him.
Yeah.
A cushy position, a cushy court position instead of disposing of him.
Yes,
I'm unsure. Like, if you fight other faction leaders, is it like in Attila that you have to kill them on the battlefield 3 times?
I think faction leaders
I don't
in this
think
are
they can, though.
Yeah, they're fully immortal.
I hate that. That I hate. That I don't like. People should die. You heard it here. People should be allowed to die.
Three Kingdoms had a similar system where you had like they had resilience, so they get wounded, but then they'd like lose basically one of 2 hearts effectively, and then or sometimes one of 3, and then you'd have to wound them again and then again to kill them. But you could also capture and execute them if you wanted. So it was possible to kill important characters, and also that game runs for like 50 or 60 years, so a lot of characters lose die of old age too.
Yeah, but in here we're like, here nobody dies of old age apart from Merneptah, which is sad. Oh, look at the pyramid.
Yes. So let's see, is it 100% done? Our totally historically timed Great Pyramid? Yes, it is. All right.
Okay.
This is a time when culture.
Oh yeah, 100%. Look at that. It's it looks like a pyramid, all right.
Yeah.
Who did that?
The black stone is interesting. As is the decision to bury a royal figure of the new kingdom in the... First of all, in the north, and second of all, about 400 miles away from the mortuary temple.
I mean...
Which we do also have a mortuary temple, but it's over here, in the east bank of the Theban necropolis, which is something that exists.
I did find that a little bit weird with the map. I assume it was for game balance that they had to shift things around to different regions. And I did find it strange that Abu Simbel wasn't depicted. I don't know if you can build it and it shows up.
Actually, I can check, as we're conquering, it might show up as an outpost, because you get a lot of outposts,
They never stood a chance.
like temples like that.
Thank you for subscribing, Billy. Yes, you're here for historically accurate New Kingdom Cenotaph Pyramids and an Ancient Egypt stream, and you're all out of historically accurate New Kingdom Cenotaph Pyramids. Alas.
But yeah,
Alas, so you're gonna get the stream.
But yeah, you do have the Great Temple at Abydos. You get Jesser Jesseru, which is actually over here. You get the Ramesseum, which is also over here. Let's see though. So, where would we?
So it should be south of Buhin.
Yeah. So outposts in
Or maybe north of Buhin. Sorry, actually. Yeah, it should be somewhere in the vicinity of Miam. I actually get kind of confused when we don't have modern borders for some reason. I don't think it's there, which I thought was quite odd.
It doesn't look like it is. The Valley, you get the Valley of the Kings.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, yes.
But not
For the Empire.
Yeah,
I can only
What are these
I can only imagine how difficult that would actually be from a game development perspective, because if you try to put everything into Wasit where it should be, that could rapidly become like a game-winning city where if you control Wasit, nobody can stand against you, especially the AI.
But of course.
But it's like but you can't just ignore all of the monuments either, so it's
I mean, at least the fortresses.
Yeah.
Proud son of Egypt.
You know, at least the big fortresses.
I'm quite glad that the towns are there. Like.
Kill them all.
Oh, it's saying holiness.
Oh, thank you, husband. We are. Oh, that looked like it hurt. I mean, he's dead, so clearly it hurt. But, you know. Oh.
I do wish that modern Total War games were as moddable as the earlier ones were, like the campaign map, because I'm sure there would be some enterprising modder who would meticulously go through and like redevelop all of the territories to be more monumental, and probably do some of the cities and fortresses as well.
A larger
map. Some of the cities have custom maps, which is cool, like Ramesses and Memphis. But I would have loved to see like historically accurate Buhin. Like that would have been so sick.
Yes. Oh, that would have been so cool. That would have been great. I don't know what the modding is at this point. Let's see.
Yeah, the mod scene is pretty small, actually. I've seen a few things come in, but nothing amazing.
Let's see what we got. We got no portraits on loading screens, colored built-in icons, which is great. Historical quotes. Good luck with that. More standard bearers. Major factions renamed. Standard variation. Ooh, there's 109 mods. Let's see.
Yeah, the best one I've seen is,
That's not bad.
and if I known about it before the stream, I probably would have put it on. The one that adds more like fully correct skin tones for everybody. So basically darkening Egyptian and also to a lesser extent Nubian
Wise
units.
Pharaoh.
There is one that's called No More Shit Chariots, and the image is someone on a chariot dragged by a goat.
I speak. Others
I'm
listen.
intrigued, but also terrified.
Freya approves, I think.
Well, at the very least,
Definitely.
I admire
Okay.
your audacity.
Bay
Or
is
Thor.
down to this single unit with a
Bay.
single army with 3 units, and he thinks that a peace treaty would be in our favor. And what are you? Okay.
Bay, what are you even doing?
So Amames is down to 3. So what I want to do now is we're gonna make
Oh,
peace
yes.
with him.
To have listened to bad advice.
And then once the cooldown is done,
Yes, exactly.
we're
Then
going to annex him.
We're also going to take a bunch of his stuff. You know, for graciously. Oh, he only has 1 bronze. Well, we'll take it. You're good enough.
A good ring.
Though we're probably going to have to take out these Libyans in the Dungle Oasis, both because we want to take them out and also because otherwise they might kill poor Amames.
Rightful heir of
We can't
Egypt.
co-opt him if he's dead.
Oh well. My mom is sending me weird mess. I don't know what she's watching on TV. She's sending me weird messages. So. Eh? What? I thought she was watching the opera, but she's talking about cars.
Mightiest of
So
princes.
probably not?
We can finally
Okay.
confederate Seti. He will agree
Let-
to let us take over. I think it is time. I think his
Oh, come on,
service-
husband. It is time. Be
I'm
nice.
always
You haven't
glad
been
to
doing
see
shit
you,
this whole
my
time.
sweet. Ha!
You
Simple.
will regret this. Be gone.
Okay, I think that might have been a bug because so first of all, Seti said, "Always nice to see you, my sweet," which is very nice.
Oh.
But then after the deal was completed, Tawsrit goes, "You will regret this. Be gone." I'm like, oh,
So
that's
did we get a
mean.
divorce?
I don't know. Seti is
When
right here.
am
I think
Pharaoh,
I'm
our
not gonna,
lessons will learn their place.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to assume.
Your lives
Actually,
are
you know
mine
what?
to
I
spend.
might divorce him over this army composition. Why would you do this?
I'll work you to the bone.
Oh man. See, that's why he couldn't keep the throne. Look at the
Every
trash.
one of you
No.
is expendable.
Seti, sweetheart, you really don't understand.
Yeah.
You should let people who know how to create an army deal with it.
I serve
Exactly.
Egypt.
And now we have to fix all of the problems that Seti left behind. All these damaged buildings.
Oh yeah, how many cities did we gain? Because now we have the big temple of Set, which we cannot use because we don't worship Set.
Yes, but we have yeah,
Whoa.
now all of Egypt except for these 2 provinces, and of course, Akhenaten.
Well.
We are at the height of civilization.
We are never going to have Akhenaten.
Yes,
I did. One of my favorite little details on the campaign map was that when it starts, Akhenaten's on fire. I really appreciate that.
Called by
I was
fate.
like, that's such a random little thing to put in, and it's purely for the nerds of like 19th Dynasty destruction. But when the game
Oh, yeah.
starts,
I fight
it's
for
burning, and
Egypt.
I just like that. I like Akhenaten a lot. That was a fun little
I
detail.
almost want to do a campaign and become Akhenaten 2.0 to get the achievement
Prince of
to
Egypt.
colonize Akhenaten, but I don't know. I don't know if I have the guts to do that.
So with the legacies, you follow different king, right?
Yeah.
And what does it do in terms of like your ultimate goals? Does it change the ending at all?
Not really. It's more means to the end. So, like, for Khufu, you get a bunch of various bonuses. Some of them are victory points, so you actually don't have to conquer as much as Khufu to get the victories. And some of it is just, like, better legitimacy, better diplomatic relations with Egyptian factions. Like, let's see what the colossal statues do altogether.
Right.
Yeah. Melee... Oh, plus 10% melee attack and missile damage for your elite units. Food, that's actually going to be really good when this is done. Our food income is going to be insane.
It's one turn.
Yep.
So, next turn.
Oh yeah, the Black Obelisk increases bronze, golden stone, and Nubian Kush. And then the Mortuary Temple just increases favor and prayer duration.
I will carve out a
Which is not bad. I still need to try the Hatshepsut Legacy. I still haven't tried it.
Egypt.
That's the one where you send trading caravans, right?
Yeah.
I
still haven't tried it.
I'm much more interested in those sort of options where it gives you a new activity to do or a new unit. Anything, and this is something with Total War games, especially for the past like 10 years. Anything where it's just like plus 10% to something or plus 2 to whatever, I immediately zone out. I'm like, don't care. Give me a new
I don't
unit
care.
or
No.
give me a new mechanic. Like, I remember really hating it in Rome 2, where by like turn 20, my generals and my cities had these huge lists of like bonuses they were getting, and it was all like plus 5% to this and 10% to that. And I was like, I don't know, I don't care.
I don't need any of that.
Yeah.
Leave us alone.
I like it some. I'm a spreadsheety
My
person,
name will be
but
legend.
this game is definitely better about making it like interesting.
Right.
I completely understand where you're coming from. Unless you, this is why it would probably be good for you not to play Europa Universalis. That's literally the whole game. Is how many little percentile modifiers can you add together into?
Yeah, no. I am team killing everyone and just having like military buff.
Yep.
Yeah.
It took
I
me
would
a very
much rather
long...
have like.
We got some lettuce there.
Yes.
One of our ancillary is lettuce.
They're the most important item. It increases fertility.
Oh yeah, definitely, and we care about that.
I would have thought it decreased your fertility.
Considering where it ends
We
up.
got pregnant from it. Yeah, I guess so.
Uh,
All right, I'll go with it.
I mean, it's always the letters. How many turns? How many cooldowns before we can annex? I'm in messy.
I think we should still be. We're probably at 6. I'll double check.
Okay.
All right, the garden is done.
Ooh, nice. That's a nice garden.
Yeah.
It's pretty. I like the ibises sitting down. Oh yeah, we should equip Seti with the lettuce. For reasons. You're right, Billy. That's a great suggestion. I think for, for historical reasons.
He's down over here, I think.
Mightiest of
Oh, he's there. Yeah. Seti, dear.
We have the standard of Nubia. That's.
Ooh. I mean, if anything, look at how much lettuce we have. We got lettuce for everyone. There you go. Now it's very accurate. Now that we've given the lettuce to the right character, I feel better.
Yes. And now it looks like we do have some friends showing up down the Nile. So we're gonna deal with them.
the garrison.
Oh yeah, some not so nice sea people.
My army.
Yeah, they're
Game
really
doesn't have naval battles anymore, does it?
No, it does not. You fight them out on the coasts of the river.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
not mad at that. I did not
Yeah.
particularly like naval battles.
I was never good
I
at
like
them,
them-
but I always enjoyed them in
I liked them
concept.
in Empire. But Empire was kind of the one where it made the most sense
Well,
in terms of just the mechanics.
yeah.
I occasionally played them in Shogun 2, but mostly in Fall of the Samurai, where if you had the right ships, you could call in a naval bombardment. God, that was satisfying. You would just have like death raining from the heavens on your enemy. And then Rome 2. I'm of two minds about this, because Rome 2 had that really awesome mechanic where if you had an army on your ships, you could land them on the beach to invade the map, and that was really cool. The problem was that there was never enough coastline on the battle map, so you always had like units just getting stuck in the sea. They couldn't do anything. And then when you just fought a purely naval battle, it was so fiddly and tricky.
Yeah, no,
it was fun the first couple of times, and then after that I just started auto-resolving.
Yeah, it's just hard to...
So I can see why they've...
It's also
I
like
can see why they cut them out, because I think people just weren't playing them much.
Also, Bronze Age, like, sea battles are like not that what are you even doing? Yeah, you're ramming one another, maybe.
I don't think it was... I think it was a lot less ramming and a lot more just archery.
And shooting.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're shooting,
It seems
like...
it's mostly just... You're either pulling up alongside and jumping over to board them, or you're just sailing past and drive-by shooting them, essentially. Which,
yes,
again, that would be fun for like the first 2 or 3 times you do it.
And then you're like, yeah, that's it.
Just be like, okay.
Yeah. I also like that this banding is afoot. So are you kicking them in the butt, or are they walking? Because I've always read that as we're kicking them in the ass, but you know.
Son of Canaan. There's nothing we can agree on.
There's nothing we can agree on unless I pay you some money and you become our vassal.
Oh yeah.
Wait, why is this guy named Byblos?
His name is Byblos.
That's just his name.
I think it's just the factions.
No, the faction is named Urushalim, I think. Unless it's...
Oh.
Yeah, because this is the Urushalim
Oh no, the faction is named Urushalim, and his name is Byblos.
And that's you confused with the Byblos faction in Gubla.
Sir.
Don't
Sir.
anger me, Red.
Which is... He's named Beirut.
Beirut.
That's another city. What is going on? Canaanites need to sort out which names are for people and which names are for cities. This is... I'm getting a little bit much.
There's also a wave of people coming in from the west. In there.
So
we have
2 armies to go up against them. We'll see how this goes.
Nice.
But yeah, we have... and then... I'm not sure if we actually end up getting one more really big wave or not. I hope we do. It'll be fun.
Which turn are we?
We're at
121?
121, yeah.
Yeah, there's more.
For Pharaoh's glory.
And then, yeah,
they...
As you see, Libyans are just constantly showing up. Like, I just have an army over here that's just running back and forth between Libyans.
Yeah, they just appear. They just appear out of nowhere. Kind of, you know.
Yeah. No.
Almost as if they were born of the desert.
Nowhere from the Egyptian perspective. I think, yeah, actually, this gets to something we were saying earlier with the whole Canaanite thing. This game does a really good job of portraying the Egyptian perspective on the world. That perspective is not necessarily accurate. It's oftentimes, it's in fact, wildly wrong, but it is their perspective. Like...
Yeah.
Yep.
The Kool-Aid has been drunk.
Yes. Like, the Libyans are not spawning out of nowhere. They live in the oases in substantial numbers, and they're... You know, these are, like, probably large groups of people. Frankly, many of the invasions were probably, like, migratory groups, as with the sea people. And only some of them actually posed any kind of real threat, but, you know, the Egyptian propaganda texts want to level all that together as opposed to, you know, dealing with...
Yeah, is it Ramesses III that says that they've all made an alliance against him? Like, all of the sea people, all of them. And like, they don't even speak the same language. How are they allying? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
You know.
Neptar does it as well. He says that the Libyans had allied with the Sheridan, I think it is, to invade from the west. But it's very ambiguous as to how much of it is actually just like what we might call a refugee crisis.
Right. Oh, okay. These troops.
I read an interesting paper. I probably brought it up on stream before, but I just really like it. That basically argues that the better part of the sea people were pirates, and that especially initially, and a lot of what was going on was like forming identities around the activity of piracy and like that then turning into this broader phenomenon.
Because that's the thing
I
with
mean-
the
Go.
late Bronze Age Mycenaeans, isn't it? That there seems to be an established almost tradition of regular piracy, and it's been a while, but I think it's in some of the, it's either in the Homeric texts or at least some of the extra fan fiction around the Iliad, where people like Odysseus are essentially pirates part of the year. So I could totally believe that large sections of the Sea Peoples are more like retainers and entourages for these sort of pirate kings who are just moving through the region.
Oh, we hit our goal with the fundraiser.
Oh, good.
That's good. That's good. Excellent. We are very pleased. We're very happy. Let me see. There's too many people writing and messaging being like, "Shh, be quiet, Tiffany. Be quiet." We're fighting. We're fighting some big chunky armies.
Yes, this is 2 full armies of the Czech era against Tausret herself and the garrison she brought with her.
Nice. So we got 3 versus 2. Okay, I can see that. Wait, haven't we already fought a battle here last time?
Probably.
I think we have against another Sea People army because it's the same. Well, because it's the same place because they're coming in.
Yes, they're pure Ramesses. If you're playing this game,
Yep.
that's a good spot to fortify.
Yep.
Because it is going to be attacked a lot.
That makes sense.
Move on!
So, we got more chariots. So we can
Chariot riders!
Mm-hmm.
the rest of this force.
On the march!
A new vantage!
Charioteers,
Okay. Oh, they have the heavy weapons now.
Onward!
Yeah, they're the chunky guys, but they're slow.
Yes.
Into position.
Yeah, they buy pretty heavily into the Sea People beat the chariots via armor theory for this game's design, which is an interesting one. I don't know if I believe it. I'm the kind of person who ascribes military victories to economic factors and not military ones, like 90% of the time. I think the breakdown of the Mariana was because it simply became too expensive to support them. Because the Assyrians go back to it once they can do it.
Oh, look at them go! Look at them run on the sand like they're not, you know.
Oh yeah, they're. So first of all, they forced marched over here,
Moving!
so they're all exhausted.
So they're tired.
This
Good,
wave of
good.
them Exhausted, yeah.
Chariots, move out! No Egyptian can kill me!
Yes. I just think it's really cool that that Tausret that she starts with a chariot herself. Like that's actually just one of the most fun parts of her faction is having chariots in the early game. Because in spite of the make chariot suck less mod, definitely one of the better parts of the game is playing with them.
Well, I mean, she is Pharaoh, so clearly she should be on a chariot.
Oh yes.
Spear!
Honestly, I think the ancillary drop rate for chariots is too low in this.
Spear, fly!
Mm-hmm.
I think you should probably
Yeah.
have access to more of them.
Soldiers, move!
I would agree. Once you get the good ones, then you're set for the game. But you need to get
so wait,
them.
You
That's
can't
the problem.
recruit them. You have to get.
Oh,
you have to
well,
pick
you
them
can
up?
recruit them. I mean, like
No.
for your generals, you have to.
Yeah, but yeah. And it restricts the kind of armor and weapons that you can use if you have a chariot equipped. So, for instance, you cannot use like a mace or a shield You can only use like a spear or a bow. And you can have like light armor, but not heavy armor.
Okay. I like that. That's kind of...
Positioning.
You shouldn't be able to just be a superpower
Position.
with that chariot.
Yeah, right,
Restrictions always make things a bit more
Yeah, this is
interesting.
not an Assyrian chariot.
And now we get to the fun part of the battle. Guess which faction is going to do better in the sandstorm?
Ooh, the faction that is not covered in bronze.
Yeah.
Am I right? Am I right? And not exhausted and local, autochthonous. Why do they have the danger signal on top of their unit? Like the red triangle.
I think that is a sense of like how aggressive they are. Like it's an AI behavior indicator.
Okay.
I think.
I thought it was relative to which unit you had selected, whether they were high threat to that particular unit.
Oh, that's
So like a low tier spearman is going to get wrecked by most of those units, but like a high tier charioteer is going to be okay against some of them.
Oh, that is cool.
Yes,
It's
it is.
unit
Yeah.
as-
Oh, okay. That makes more sense. Yeah. I think it was confusing with the diplomat.
I found it really useful for... It's really useful for just figuring out which of your units should be moving where to tackle on which groups. It also encourages, I think, more combined arms approaches because, you know, like two similar units, they're going to have weirdly different weaknesses.
Yeah.
So it does encourage you to like cover each other's backs. It's a very pretty game, I
Yes.
have to say.
Chariots.
I felt that way about Troy too, that especially once you had the mythical
Yes.
mode, and you'd have these like giant statues collapse in the background. I was like, God, some of these games have gotten very pretty.
Oh yeah.
Is-
Oh, with Troy they went for it. They were like, yeah,
Yeah.
let's just
Never back down.
get bonkers.
Glorious combat.
I think like most people, I didn't have any real interest in the base version of Troy, where it was
Devastate them.
that weird hybrid of
Slay them.
demi-mythical but kind of historical.
Devastate them.
I don't know, it was fun, but it just didn't grab me. But then when they had the mythical version, I was like, okay,
Yeah.
this is
Absolutely.
what I imagine when I think the Iliad. I think hyper,
Yeah, exactly.
not realistic combat.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No. I mean, realistic. Once again, realistic Bronze Age fighting is boring. Like we need the crazy stuff. I'm biased here, but that's because I do Archaic period, and it's also boring. Right, fighting is boring as shit. There's no flair in that.
Sons of Egypt.
So, but no, when they got all the mythical units, it was like yes,
Yeah.
that's interesting. I was dreaming of a 7 Against Thieves DLC, but alas, but that's because I do like the 7 Against Thieves. That would have been cool.
It would have been amazing and incredibly niche. I don't think anyone outside of like the ancient history community would have really known what was going on. But those people would have been really excited.
Oh yeah. Oh, give me the seven armies with the shields with weird shit on them. Oh my god, yes, all day. I would have played that in class.
Always ready. Devastate them. God smite you.
Oh, look at them marching and then being like, nope, we're gonna wait. Goodbye.
Yeah.
That attire is not really sandstorm proof.
Swordsman.
No, let's see. I don't see the. Yeah. I think it might only be upper Egyptian units, since only some of the
Sons of
soldiers are going
Egypt.
to be having no effect from the sandstorm. But
Kill them all.
The marauding axe. Mamma mia.
To battle.
yeah, the unit names for the
Yeah.
sea people are like
The Aegean armored javelins. Like, no, javelins are trash units. They're not armored. They cannot have an armor. They need to be trash units. They need to be skirmishers. You want the light armor.
It is sort of an interesting concept, actually. Just the idea of like, would that even? What would be the role of that on the battlefield?
Of javelins
I-
Of,
being
no,
annoying.
Heavy,
Only
of
as
heavy
limited.
javelins. I mean, like, would you want that?
No more of this.
No, because
have
they
a
can't
melee
fucking
mode,
move.
right?
Yes, they do.
Come again?
Do they have a melee mode? Are they decent in melee?
Let's see. It'll tell us. No.
No, they suck.
Well, particularly their melee defense is very bad.
Because I was thinking, the first thing that came to mind was that maybe they were trying to do a sort of like mid-Roman Republic soldier with like the, you know, they throw the
With
javelins
the pila,
they're
and then
engaging.
and then you have the sword when things become up
Yeah.
close and personal.
See, you do get those in this game,
But
and
if
I actually think it's a really nice touch. Because
Yeah.
the units that do it are Upper Egyptian soldiers. And I cannot
Right.
prove this, but I think it's a reference to Sinewy. That is where my money is on why they do that.
Too much. Too much.
Reference to Sinuate.
Yes, because that's how the fight goes in Sinewy. Is he throws? Is they do like a javelin fight first, before closing into melee. Basically, I mean, I think they kill each other with the ranged weapons, but they're like, even in
God,
a
it's been so
one-on-one
long since I
duel.
lived Sinuate.
Yeah.
Like them.
Let me get my Wilkinson now. And Parkinson.
Like, I know Sinewy dodges javelins, but I can't remember if he actually throws them or if he only uses his
Try
bow.
saying that again as you lay dying.
We need a dramatic reading,
You can do that if you want.
please.
Is that a new edition?
No,
Oh,
it's
you
just
said
the old-
Wilkinson. I was
just the
thinking.
Parkinson.
Sims.
I just confused
Oh,
myself.
Parkinson. Oh, okay.
Never back down.
Okay.
So, he says, a hero of Rechenu came to provoke me in my tent. He was a peerless champion who had subjugated all the land. He said he would fight with me, and he planned to rob me, and he thought to plunder my cattle on the advice of his tribe. The ruler conferred with me and suggested that I fight him. Blah 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 blah. Okay, there we go. Then his shield, his axe, and his arm full of javelins fell to me, after I had escaped his weapons and made them pass by me. With his arrows spent in vain, one after the other, he approached me, and I shot him. My arrow stuck in his neck, but he fell on his face, and I felled him with his own axe. Dang. Okay,
Dang.
So it was
Kinda like,
arrows, yeah.
it's like that very first scene in Troy, where Achilles is fighting that guy who chucks a javelin at him, he dodges him, and then he attacks him bodily. That's interesting. I didn't remember the javelin exchange, but that might have been from another translation. That's interesting.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, so that might be a reference to Senue.
Spill blood.
It may also just be that like, they needed something interesting for the Upper Egyptians to do, because every other native unit has like something.
Yeah.
And Upper Egypt and Libya are, in my mind, the most generic.
Always ready.
Yeah. There's not much to distinguish them compared to
Yeah.
Nubia and Northern Egypt.
Yeah. Lower Egypt, actually really love what they did. You just have more. There's more of them.
Charioteers, go.
Which is probably the most densely populated part of the world at the time. Well, actually, no, that's not true. The most densely populated part of the world at this time is very probably the central Yellow River Valley, around Xi'an. Shang China probably has more people.
Too much.
Although I guess it depends also on what exact year you mean and how you place the chronology.
Fair enough. I did not know about that, but that is interesting.
Actually,
Sorry, I was looking at the chariot maneuvering.
Yes. Actually, here's your real fun Shang China fact that I love. Is that the cities at that point had become so large and important that's why the reason you get chopsticks invented is there were so many street vendors, and they had become so important that they needed a form of utensil that was disposable to support like the street vendor industry. And so they invented a way to just like use pieces of wood to eat rather than requiring like anything more expensive than that.
I love that.
Stuck around for 3,000 years.
They're very useful.
cool.
They work.
But also,
Ajax is asking us where are the elephants, and my answer was in their tickets showing the middle finger to the Ptolemies. You're never gonna have us, ever.
They should
never gonna
there
work
should
for
be
y'all.
some in Syria.
It should be, yeah.
One of the pharaohs, Tutmos III, goes elephant hunting in Syria near the Euphrates. So I was a little bit disappointed when I was looking on the map and there were no elephants around, but I guess you could
Yeah,
say... he
wait,
hunted into
isn't there wasn't there a courtier who saved Tutmosis I from an angry elephant and cut off his trunk with his khopesh?
Yes. I forget his name. It's like maybe a Menamhab or something like that.
Yeah. That's sad.
Yeah, he
Was just
goes
wanted to
out.
grab, just wanted to prod, to gently prod the king. I was like, nope, fuck it. But then again, they're big enough that they can poke. Yes, exactly. They're just. But I'd be on the wrong side of an angry elephant, to be honest, or an angry.
I like that in the literature they call their trunks their hands.
Oh, but
Elephant hands.
it's kind of like.
Chariots forward! Hero of Egypt!
A hand nose. Like, what kind of determinative do they use to indicate that it's an elephant trunk?
They would use the head of an elephant with the trunk, I think.
So cute.
Changing position.
You cannot defeat me!
That is so cute.
Get out your
Wonderful.
gardener.
Gardner.
Oh, where is my gardener? My gardener's at home. I'll bring up my PDF.
Gardener sign list.
There we go.
I don't know the translation where they say the elephant hands and instead of like the foot, because the foot would be pretty difficult to saw off, wouldn't it?
Well,
It'd
yeah.
have to be-
Yeah, good luck with that.
Can you imagine carrying a bunch of elephant feet back home?
If they can saw granite, they can saw an elephant.
This is where you
The problem with granite is that it doesn't
That's
smell
true.
after 2
Might
days
be
that
out there
you're
for a
working
while.
on it.
Yeah, you're right. Ooh.
always ready.
Disposing of a large mammal is a task, and modern-day zoos have creative ways of doing that. So you don't want a decomposing elephant foot on your way back from Syria.
We'll ride through them.
Let alone like 300 of them, right? How many
Right.
still out there? Was it
Yeah.
hundreds? Was it?
Swordsmen.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah, it's that campaign where they also bring back the chicken. We went for the gold, but we got elephants and chicken. It's more or less the same. I mean, equivalent. Like, okay, elephant feet in this economy, exactly.
Oh yeah, chicken aren't native to the region. They come from a long ways away. That might have been seen as a big deal.
Oh yeah, they make eggs. They're plump. They're angry. They don't fly. They can, but they don't know it.
Yeah, so Gardner doesn't have a elephant head, but he just has an elephant by itself, which I presume is what they would use for the trunk.
Moving.
Right.
Or at least they would use a hand determinative.
Weapons.
But he only includes like 2 references for elephant.
Yeah, because it's probably only going to be the city and the animal itself, right? That are really going to get the determination.
Yeah,
Blood.
basically.
Okay, you want to know my favorite use of an animal determinative in an Egyptian word? It's really good.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
The word for foresight has a giraffe determinative.
Never back
Because you
down.
can see far.
Yep.
Incredible.
Yep.
Fantastic. I love it. I love it. That's gonna be my next weird fact to tell at parties.
Chariot.
What kind of parties?
As one.
The woman that you heard shouting is actually our queen, Tawazret, who is Pharaoh, who is in the thick of battle. So now the question becomes, Egyptologists in this panel, if a woman was Pharaoh, would she go to battle actively? And if she did, would she just look cool in an armor, or could they ever be trained?
I can
To be
answer
there.
this directly with reference to Towel's threat. There is
For anything.
there is an ostrakon. It's like a piece of stone with writing on it, or in this case, the drawing, and it shows an Egyptian queen in a chariot. She's wearing a sort of a headdress that kind of looks like feathers, like a circular crown of feathers with a uraeus at the front. She's on her chariot, she's got a driver who's controlling the horse, and she's firing a bow and arrow. It's probably 19th Dynasty based on the style of drawing and comparable art. It doesn't have any text on it, but it was
so
found
we
in
don't
the
know
Valley of the
which.
Kings,
Okay.
and it seems to show. It shows this queen firing arrows against another person in a chariot who's riding towards her and also firing arrows. It actually has the arrows in midair. It's kind of cute. The other figure, the other charioteer, is broken off, which is typical, but he seems to be wearing a scarf, and a scarf is usually a king's accoutrement or garb. So I suspect it's showing a civil war between a female pharaoh and a male pharaoh. And contextually, there's a decent bet that it shows Tausret fighting against whichever king brought her down, possibly Amenmesse or probably Sethnak, who is the next ruler. Again, it's only educated conjecture at best whether it is Tausret, but I think at least in the context, that's a very solid bet. So I guess if you're purely taking the art as historical record, then somebody like Tausret might have gone into battle. At the very least, with how Egyptian chariots worked, she might have been skirting the edges of the battlefield, firing arrows at the enemy. Probably not in a melee, but that's just because chariots themselves
they're not melee.
But at least for Tausret, you can make a case that she might have gone to battle directly. Somebody like Hatshepsut, we only have records of there being possible campaigns in her time, but there's no detail enough to say whether she was leading it or whether she just dispatched it. But at least for Tausret, I think.
Yeah, for Tausret, yeah. So and then there's like Grandma Hotep with the gold of valor. So who knows?
Yes.
Who knows?
Oh yeah, Ahotep is one of my personal favorites. She's cool.
Oh yeah, she's cool.
Yeah,
I
And
actually
then
would have
you
loved.
have the images of Nefertiti smiting. Not that that was necessarily
true.
something that
That's
she
true.
did, but
That's true.
you
With
know,
with her
they
crown.
exist.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I have to say that I would have loved if they were going to do, a bunch of campaign DLCs. A late second intermediate period DLC.
Yes,
would have been
please.
Really cool.
Yes. Give us.
Especially
give us-
just from the perspective of having starting in such a lesser position, as one of the Theban kings, and you have to fight your way to reunify. That would have been very cool.
Oh yeah. Also, I mean, I said Grandma Ahotep, but
Imagine the
how old
hippos.
was she? Listen.
She was the Petty Sherry was the grandma.
I mean, if we assume that Ahotep became a mother somewhere in her 15, 16, she could have died in her 40s. I don't know. I don't think we can.
Yeah.
We could say.
Yeah. So chances are she was not a grandma. She was close to my age. So.
Well, she could still be a grandma.
Yes.
Well, yeah, that's fair. She could still be grandma, but also my age because yeah, that's fair. They had children young.
You're
back
just
then.
letting your ancestors down by not having grandchildren already.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Definitely. I was thinking that you're letting your ancestors down by not going to battle and smiting enemies, which would also work with my kind of family. Very angry Italian women. So the hands have been thrown in my family several times. But yes. I mean, I'm almost a black belt in Aikido. Does that count?
I will guide Egypt in
Yes.
any way
Still
possible.
don't have grandchildren.
Fair. Maybe we'll get a pet.
That counts.
Long journey ahead.
Totally counts, right? Especially a pet with a good punny name.
Plans.
Oh yes, of course.
I will not
Necessarily. Why are they always attacking Peramoon? Just
Yeah.
y'all.
See, if we
I
can bring in
am
another army and
Pharaoh.
drive them off.
Impact.
Oh, Briana, this is a question for you. Is there something that Nefertiti couldn't do?
This sounds like the setup to a joke.
Yeah, that's my friend. That's my friend Bubear trolling the chat. Well, she couldn't keep being a heretic.
Nefertiti couldn't do.
My name will be
Well, I don't know. What answer are you expecting?
Father,
couldn't bear a son.
mother of son, carry a son.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, I mean,
We don't
We
know.
don't know
though.
that she
Maybe
didn't.
she did. Maybe she did actually, right?
yeah, could be.
We're here for the Amarna family slander.
Maybe you just didn't
driven
live.
by injustice.
Possible.
All
Possible.
remember
I was just
I'm always
there, by the
that
way,
way.
everybody.
Oh, you
just
were
in
you were in
Amarna?
Amarna.
I saw on your Instagram, yeah.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
good photos.
Fabulous, as usual. I tried to get the inspectors to let me go through the Royal Wadi, and they said no, it's too far. And so finally, I wore him down on the last day, and he let me run through the desert from the Great Aten Temple all the way into the south suburb,
Wow.
back to where the Cambridge Dig House is.
I'm visualizing like Sound of Music, like Julie Andrews doing the twirl, but it's you in the sand in Amarna. That's what I'm seeing.
I was leaping up dunes and swirling around, and he was trying to keep up, but he wasn't succeeding. And I was like, I'm free! And I was like, you guys should have just let me go through the Royal Wadi. He's like, oh, but it's too far. I said, but we're going the same distance, and this one has hills, whereas the Royal
am
Wadi is
unmatched.
flat. I mean, I could have run.
Always prepared.
Because they said, oh, it was 7 kilometers, that's too far. I mean, it's not far.
It's like, excuse you. Who do you think I am? I'm perfectly
Same.
fit. You know, the Aten is supporting me. I can do this.
Yeah. But I got to climb on some things which I probably shouldn't have been climbing on them, but you know, I mean, I did it anyway.
Ours is the
Well,
glory.
I mean,
But yeah, it was pretty great. But it's mostly desert, everyone. But the desert is absolutely stunning. I went into some tombs that I hadn't ever been in before. They're not open to the public because they're not decorated.
I am Pharaoh.
But there are some that are just vast,
Pharaoh.
with so many columns. I mean, it's like miniature temples. Some of them, it's really extraordinary. But just in terms of the desert itself, I love desert landscape, and so that was very exciting to see all of that.
need the
But
right
yeah, it was
people.
very nice. It's very nice to be out in the desert as opposed to the loudness and cars
idea
that
needs
is
soldiers to carry it out.
Cairo.
I'm sure ancient Egyptians complained about Heliopolis being, you know, being loud. Too many chariots in this city. Oh my god. Oh, I wish we could just go to the desert. It's too loud. Still too much traffic.
Yes.
Too much.
That's the real reason why Akhenaten moved his capital. He needed to get out.
will be legend.
Exactly. Too much.
The fresh air.
This is the water of life. A raider does not bow.
Ooh, oh, can we annex the person now?
We have a couple
Pharaoh.
turns
Our
out, but I'm gonna
lessons
try and
we
get
learned
us there.
take place.
Let's go. Let's go. We got. I mean, I'm a messy deer.
I'll redden the Nile if I must.
Trying to find our way to the Dungle Oasis as well. I wanna
Huh.
attack them, but it looks like we're just gonna have to. Yeah, said he can deal with
Leave
some
the weak
attrition.
behind.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's okay. He's fine. He's got the lettuce. He's fertile. He can do whatever.
Yep.
We trust him. Oh, look at all our gold coming in from Kerma. Oh, speaking of climbing things that I should not have climbed. I'm not gonna say on which side, but I did walk on the top of a pylon, of a temple pylon. But it's not because
you're pretty
it's
sturdy, so. I mean,
yeah, but it's not because I climbed up. It's because the pylons are like covered in sand nowadays. So I was on top of a pylon. I was like, well, when am I ever going to do this again? So I actually got an earful from my from our field director, because he was like, oh, you Italians are always, it was me and the other Italian. He was like, oh, you Italians were always late, and we were like, but we were on top of a pylon. The two very
Parents?
serious Egyptologists, and we were like, ha ha ha.
At Karnak, the
For Pharaoh's
it's either the 8th or the 9th. Still has the
Engage the enemy.
internal staircase, which you can walk up, but it's one of the collapsed pylons. But you can go
The
up the
ninth.
staircase, and the 9th, right? And you can stand in the midst of the rubble.
Oh,
I have done that. That's pretty cool.
oh, I like that. And I've been on
Me
the
too.
on the roof.
It's very cool.
On the roof of like one of the Ptolemaic temples that has like another temple on top of the temple because we heard you like
Oh,
temples.
sure, that'd be
And there?
Endera.
No, it was a smaller one.
My
Kalabsha?
name will be legend.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a small. I've never been to Dendera actually.
That's right. You worked in
I serve Egypt.
Yeah, I've
So
been to
you
Kalabsha.
were
I've never
down
been to
there in
Dendera.
Nubia region. That's one.
Yeah.
Okay.
My
Yeah,
blade
we
is
were
for
working. Well, I mean, we also technically walked on top of the Great Temple in Kawa. It's just under the sand. So we just walk on there. I've never been in a place with more wind than Kawa, and I've been to very windy places. Like I've been in the Arctic. No. Kawa is the place with the most wind. It's unbearable. It's like it's fucking like I would never work there. They couldn't pay me enough to work there. It's so bad.
I'm sorry, but you back it up one sec. You've been in the Arctic?
Yes, I've been to the Arctic Sea.
My
Yeah.
name
On a ship, on a boat. Yeah. I've been
battle.
to North Cap on a boat, and during a storm.
Besiege the city.
Yeah, that happened. It was cold. It was windy. I was
Wait, we
complaining.
need more details, Kate. You can't. Give us give us all the tea on this one.
Oh no, I was on a cruise. We sailed from Norway all the way up, and then like past North Cap, and then down. And it was incredible because it was summer, and so there was no sunset. It was just so I was playing like table tennis until 3-4 a.m. because there was a light. The sea was scary. Oh yeah. My friend Bubear has seen the photos. Yeah, I was young. I was much younger then. But yeah, the sea was very scary. We were having dinner, and I was looking at my mom, and my mom was like with her back to the window, and I could see the sea doing this behind her, and the salt was like moving on the table. Everything was moving around. We were like, well then, gonna be a night. But yeah, it was. And then when we were like passing, in front of North Cap, we were like, oh, we need to be outside. We need to experience this outside. It was so fucking windy. We were like holding ourselves and trying to walk on the bridge. And we're like, perhaps not the best idea we ever had. There was also like a dip in a fjord, like in the Arctic Sea, which was very cold. So yeah, those were the days. It was a good cruise. Yeah, I've been places. Still not as far from home as Vancouver, because that was closer to my hometown than when I lived in Vancouver. But it's the most north I've ever been,
Glorious combat.
and then the most south has been
You've been
Jebel
places.
Barkal. I've been places. I've seen things. Yeah, I've seen the top of the Jebel Barkal. I've seen the top of the world. So yeah. I've seen the Pacific Ocean, which I never thought I would. No arthritis back then. That's very true. I didn't see Santa Claus though.
I think Dominic has also seen the Pacific Ocean.
That's fair.
Have I? Oh. Yeah.
Where is it?
Egypt's empire
I don't know.
grows.
Never heard of it.
The strongest
I don't know her.
rise.
No.
But I've never seen Akhenaten. So
I recommend it. It's pretty cool.
Boom.
never
For the
been.
gods.
Never
Lovely,
been. I've been missing from Egypt for 10 years.
My freedom
So.
is everything.
Time to go back.
Wow. Yes, because
Yeah.
I'm here. You can visit me.
That's fair. And the cat.
My
You
name
didn't seem
will
very.
be
Oh,
legend.
that's the only reason she wants to come. She wants to visit.
That's the only
cat.
reason. That's the reason. No. I keep telling Jess we should go. We should go see Egypt, and we should like.
Draw.
I keep telling her we should go and maybe take a cruise, and then I'm like, but that's colonial, so we should not take a cruise. But then again,
You will know
You know.
defeat.
I mean, I travel Egypt on a train.
I will prove myself.
Yeah, that's a bit rough. Yeah, that's a bit even. It's even rougher now because there's a whole system you have to go through to ride the train now as a foreigner.
Triumph
Oh, really?
I mean, once you figure it out, it's easy, but like, yeah, they changed the rules where you have to go to Ramsey Station, go to the foreigner office in there, get your ticket, pay it a larger amount. They increased the fees, and they want you to pay in dollars, but obviously you can't really get dollars here unless you want to pay exorbitant exchange
What
rates.
if I'm not American?
So you have to, be like, can I please pay in Egyptian pounds? Bat your eyelashes. So they say yes, and then you have to have a receipt and show proof of paying the foreigner price when you're on the actual train itself. It's crazy. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
The
because
chat is asking, can I
they
pay in
want
Bitcoin?
to improve- Don't think they have a system like that here yet. It's too they're too analog here for that. Oh man. But I mean, and they changed the rules suddenly, and then nobody knows what's going on. And it was chaotic when I finally figured it out after visiting 3 other windows for purchasing a train ticket. But yeah, I mean, it's fine. It's fine. As long as you know what you're doing, it's okay. It's just a process.
I mean, sounds like Italy. Someone in the chat is telling us cruise on the Nile, more like death on the Nile. Well, only if we can all be Salome Otterborn, minus the part in which she's shot in the face.
I speak, and the gods
And dressed like the Angela Lansbury version of Salome Otterborn. Because that's the only version I would recognize as the good one. Any other version is like but a pale imitation of that. Exactly, a must. Listen, Biblos, eh?
I don't usually hate movies, but I really hated the most recent Death on the Nile.
It was so bad. It sucked so bad that everyone in the cast is questionable at best. And a piece of shit at, the other side of the spectrum. It's...
Yeah.
Oh.
I have not seen it.
I usually the worst opinion that I have of a film is that it's boring, but I actively disliked that version of Death on the Nile. I mean, like, Death on the Nile is not even that great mystery novel, like, story. Like, it's not one of her best.
But it's a lot of fun.
Just that version of it, I just hated it.
Yeah, it was bad. I really dislike all of the work that what's his face is doing with Poirot. I really disliked Murder on the Orient Express, which should be a great gripping story, but it was just fucking boring. Death on the Nile was abysmal. It was really bad. It was like everything was bad about it. And the newest one, I am told, is not even really Poirot. Like, it's inspired by, but not really, Halloween Party, which is entirely something else. Oh, wait, is it an action time?
We can annex Almond Mess.
Let's go. Sir, you are now one of us.
Officially absorbed him. He's get 2,000 gold.
Look at
and 3
us.
points for
Oh yeah.
more Almond Mess.
Ooh, look at us. Look at us being close to total victory.
Yes.
burning for battle.
Yes, we're very close. I think I'm now very confident that we will get it next session. I don't want to.
See blood.
I don't want to, nor do I think we can finish it in the time we have left today. But next week's stream should be the last one.
Oh. We're going to mop the floor with everyone. Ooh, can we see Ahmed Maxi, like the general? Can we see what it looks like and what he has?
Should be a way to just list all your.
So when you
generals.
annex them, do they become your generals?
Yes.
Yes.
Because you
Yeah.
just get
Oh, cool.
everything they have. And did he disband his own army so we don't get him?
Oh my god, really? That's petty. I mean, I would expect that from someone dressed like him, but that's petty.
Looks like he might have. That's really, I really wanted him.
I think that tracks. From
That
what
tracks. Do we
I've
have
learned about
Ramesses?
Ahmed Messi,
We did not.
He
we did
seems
the
like a
same
guy
thing,
who
I
will-
think.
Weapons home.
Boo. Boo, yeah, we
Ahmed
should have
Messi
next New
is
York.
the Cartman of this period. He would absolutely say, "Screw you guys, I'm going home."
Yeah. Bye and just leave and throw like his fishnet dress that they gave him in this in this game and just go home. And be like, screw y'all.
An outfit.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But you know what I dislike? That when he's wearing the god's garment, it's not colorful at all. Why is a moon brown? No, we need the gold. Like, a moon needs to be fucking garish, right? I know that he's the hidden one, but like blue and gold, like dark blue and gold, like some
Yes.
greens maybe,
Like
like
the
not
night sky.
brown.
Or
Legacy
make him
is
shimmer in a
everything.
way that makes it very hard to make
Proud
out what
son
his
of
form
Egypt.
is. Like that would be
Right.
I mean, obviously it's an extremely difficult thing to do, but if you could like create the effect where it's like hard to actually pick out what's going on because it's so
Yeah.
like resplendent. That's kind of how I envision Amun.
Yeah, the divine realness, like I mean, he's one of the most important gods. Like, make him serve. Like, we
Yes.
don't need that. Like, we need a serve. It's important. It's important. This is like the fashion discussion that always happens as well. There's always fashion choices being questioned. In all of these, we've been going for two. Blue and gold sounds like a gay wedding, but yes. I mean, once again, we don't know. It could have been. So we're going on for a little more than 2 hours. How are we feeling about taking a break here, like stopping here for today?
Yes.
Is this a good place?
I feel pretty okay with it. It's about my dinner time, and it is also that is a trade deal.
Oh, excuse
I've-
you.
This
Yeah.
is good. Yeah, I'm going to take it, but this guy doesn't even have any provinces. What is
Who are you?
I think he's just been like the game gives you like a little bit of base income, and I think this guy has been amassing that base income for like 80 turns and is now trying to sell it to us in exchange for something else he doesn't need for the provinces he doesn't have.
Yes, thank you. Random citizen.
He's been planning for his moment, and now he's taking it.
He was in the shadows plotting. He was like, I will.
He's like,
I will. And yeah, we will actually raid Ludo History, who is now streaming. Yeah.
By my
Nice.
So is it just
command,
forward slash
Incoming,
raid?
man.
let us begin our
Oh yeah.
work.
Mm-hmm.
Right, we're gonna have to.
Yeah.
We could kick somebody out of the treasurer position if we really wanted to, but.
Oh, if we felt petty, but we are petty.
But yes, I think
We are
I-
petty that way.
I think we're probably good to stop it here.
Mhm.
So we'll save.
Oh yeah, this was excellent.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Dominic, for accepting and planning this with us. This was excellent.
This was good.
Yes.
Thank you. I've
And you
enjoyed
are
myself a
always
lot.
welcome. You're
Yeah.
always welcome
thank
to
you.
come back.
Yep. I'd definitely
Whenever.
be keen to come back. Or I guess if you're finishing this campaign next time, are you going to start a new one, like with another character?
We might wait for DLCs. We need to, it's
Yes.
TBD. We actually have a meeting like next week.
Right. What about a Hittite campaign? That could be fun. Like,
We
'cause
could.
You guys haven't even gone up to Anatolia.
We could.
Yes.
No, we haven't even
Um,
looked at the Hittites, so we should consider that.
Yes.
yeah. You can really
We should
bring
talk- and-
new Italian for that one.
I was saying, like, we have
He
the
was-
Hittite king, so why not? He's our boy. So, you know.
Yes.
Oh, the king of the Catite, the kingdom of catting.
Yeah.
So you knew that was coming. You knew that was coming. Also, if there's not a Sea People game in which you raid and pillage everyone, but if you play it as Irsu, we would raid and pillage everyone. So, same thing, basically. We annex, we conquer, we bring Maat to the foreign lands and the 9 bows, right? We trample the 9 bows and all of that. See the
Breath of
Kool-Aid,
life.
the Egyptian Kool-Aid. Exactly. So thank you, chat, for the shenanigans and all the good things. I'm gonna send a raid. So we are raiding. Thank you, Dominic, once again for
Thank you
showing
for
up.
having
It's absolutely our pleasure. Thank you, Briana, and thank you, Egyptian Internet, for that. And yeah,
Working slightly?
we will.
Yeah.
Yeah, we will see you all next time.
Okay. Take care.